Lately, something subtle has been happening to a lot of people. You wake up already tired. Your thinking feels slower than it used to. By evening, your ankles feel tight, and at night, sleep is interrupted by repeated trips to the bathroom. Most people shrug it off and say, this is normal, this is age, this is just stress. But what if those quiet changes are not harmless at all? I'm Dr. Richard Hale, and here's the truth most people never hear. Kidney damage does not begin with pain. It doesn't come with dramatic symptoms. It starts silently while you're still functioning, still working, still living your life. And by the time many people realize something is wrong, the conversation has already shifted to words like elevated creatinine, declining kidney function, or even dialysis. This is what makes kidney disease so dangerous. Your kidneys filter nearly 60 gallons of blood every single day, removing waste from everything you eat, drink, and absorb. When that system begins to slow down, it doesn't collapse overnight. It whispers. Fatigue, brain fog, mild swelling, nighttime urination. Signals millions of Americans experience and ignore every single day. Right now, more than 37 million people in the United States are living with some level of kidney impairment, and most of them don't know it. They don't feel sick. They just feel off. And that false sense of normal allows silent damage to continue year after year. But this is where the story changes. Protecting your kidneys does not always start with expensive treatments or extreme medical procedures. Some of the most powerful tools for kidney support are already in your kitchen, used daily, but almost always used the wrong way. In this message, I'll explain 6 common kitchen spices that research has linked to reduced inflammation, lower oxidative stress, and real kidney protection when used correctly. And I'll also reveal the one overlooked daily habit that determines whether these spices actually help your kidneys or quietly do nothing at all. Stay with me, because what you overlook today could cost you your independence tomorrow, and what you're about to learn may help prevent that. Most people don't realize this, but kidney problems rarely start in the kidneys themselves. They start in the blood. Your kidneys don't filter toxins by magic, they filter blood. And if blood flow is rough, unstable, or constantly under pressure, the damage begins quietly long before any lab result turns red. I once spoke with a man in his early 60s who told me something that stuck. He said, I eat clean. I avoid salt. I drink water all day. But by evening, my legs feel heavy. My mind feels slow, and I'm exhausted for no clear reason. His numbers weren't alarming yet. Creatinine was only slightly elevated, but his kidneys were already under stress, not because they were failing, but because the blood reaching them was. Here's the science behind that. Each kidney contains about 1 million tiny filters, called nephrons. They are incredibly delicate. When blood arrives in sharp pulses, too fast, too forceful, those filters get battered day after day. Over time, that constant pressure weakens them, reducing filtration efficiency and accelerating decline. Studies consistently show that poor circulation and elevated vascular stress are closely linked to faster kidney damage, even when blood pressure appears acceptable. This is where garlic changes the conversation. Garlic isn't powerful because it cleans anything overnight. It's powerful because it helps blood vessels relax. Compounds in garlic, especially allicin, stimulate nitric oxide production, signaling blood vessels to widen. That means smoother flow, lower pressure, better oxygen delivery, and less mechanical stress on nephron tissue. But here's the mistake almost everyone makes. Garlic doesn't work the way people think. If you chop it and throw it straight into a hot pan, you destroy the very compound that makes it effective. Allicin only forms after garlic is crushed and exposed to air, and it needs about 5 to 10 minutes to activate. No waiting time means no real benefit. Used correctly, garlic becomes a circulation tool, not just a seasoning. 1 or 2 crushed cloves rested briefly, taken raw with water, or lightly warmed with healthy fat can support vascular health over time, and that support matters deeply for the kidneys. But improving blood flow alone isn't enough, because even when circulation gets better, there's another silent problem still riding inside the blood itself. And that's what we need to talk about next. Even when blood flow improves, many people notice something frustrating. They're doing everything right, yet they still feel heavy, bloated, and drained by mid-afternoon. Their blood pressure looks fine. They drink more water. They cut back on salt. And still something feels off. That's because smoother blood flow alone doesn't save the kidneys if the blood itself is overloaded with toxins. I once worked with a woman in her late 50s who said, "I feel clean, but not light." Her labs weren't alarming. Creatinine was borderline, but every day she felt foggy, swollen, and exhausted. The missing piece wasn't another supplement or stricter diet. It was detox capacity, specifically what her liver wasn't clearing efficiently anymore. Here's why that matters. Your kidneys don't fail in isolation. When the liver struggles to neutralize metabolic waste, environmental toxins, and inflammatory byproducts, those substances stay in circulation longer. That means the kidneys have to filter more, work harder, and absorb more damage over time. Research shows that higher toxic load in the blood is strongly associated with elevated urea and creatinine, even when hydration and blood pressure appear normal. This is where cumin quietly becomes powerful. Unlike garlic, cumin doesn't focus on blood vessels. It focuses on reducing what the blood is carrying in the first place. Active compounds in cumin, especially cuminaldehyde and thymol, have been shown to support liver detox pathways and reduce oxidative stress. Less toxic blood upstream means significantly less strain downstream, right where the kidneys are most vulnerable. But here's the mistake almost everyone makes. They use cumin passively. Pre-ground cumin that's been sitting in a cabinet for months has lost much of its active compounds. Sprinkling a pinch on food without activating it does very little. And taking large amounts all at once can irritate digestion, creating more internal stress instead of relief. Used correctly, cumin works slowly but deeply. Lightly crushing whole cumin seeds or steeping them in warm water releases their beneficial compounds. Drinking cumin tea in the morning or early afternoon supports digestion, helps the liver process waste more efficiently, and gradually lowers the toxic burden your kidneys face every single day. And many people are surprised by this. Once toxins begin to drop, energy often improves before lab numbers do. But even that isn't the full picture, because clean blood can still damage the kidneys if another hidden process is quietly burning underneath. And that's what we need to look at next. Even when circulation improves and toxic load begins to drop, many people still don't feel better. The fatigue lingers, the swelling doesn't fully go away, and the brain fog never quite clears. This is where most people get confused because they assume that if blood flow is better and toxins are lower, the kidneys should recover. But there's another enemy working quietly in the background, and it's one of the most dangerous ones of all: chronic inflammation. Inflammation doesn't announce itself with sharp pain. It doesn't always show up clearly on early lab tests. Instead, it slowly stiffens blood vessels, disrupts filtration, and damages kidney tissue from the inside out. I once spoke with a man who had done everything right. He cleaned up his diet, drank more water, reduced salt, even improved his blood pressure. Yet his energy never returned. His labs stayed borderline, not bad enough to panic, but never truly good. What he didn't realize was that inflammation was still quietly interfering with how his kidneys filtered blood. Here's what the science tells us. Chronic low-grade inflammation increases oxidative stress and causes blood vessels to lose their flexibility. In the kidneys, that stiffness reduces oxygen delivery and increases pressure inside each nephron. Studies consistently show that elevated inflammatory markers are associated with faster kidney decline, even when creatinine appears only mildly elevated. This is where cinnamon plays a much bigger role than most people expect. Cinnamon isn't just a sweet spice for flavor. It contains powerful compounds, especially cinnamaldehyde and polyphenols, that act as natural anti-inflammatory and antioxidant agents. These compounds help calm inflammatory signaling and reduce oxidative damage inside tissues, including the kidneys. But here's the mistake nearly everyone makes. They use cinnamon that's essentially inactive. Pre-ground cinnamon sitting on a shelf for months has lost much of its potency. Others pair it with sugar, which directly fuels inflammation. And some people overuse it, irritating digestion and creating the very stress they're trying to reduce. Used correctly, cinnamon becomes a daily inflammation reset. Freshly ground cinnamon sticks or properly steeped cinnamon tea taken in the morning or early afternoon can help lower inflammatory stress throughout the day. And that relief matters deeply for kidney health. But even calming inflammation isn't the final answer, because there's still another form of damage happening every single day, often without symptoms at all. And that's what we need to uncover next. Even after blood flow improves and inflammation begins to calm, kidney damage can still continue. This is the part almost no one talks about, because some of the most destructive stress on your kidneys doesn't come from one big mistake. It comes from tiny repeated hits happening every single day. This is called oxidative stress, and it slowly wears kidney tissue down from the inside. Every meal you eat, every breath you take, every medication you swallow creates metabolic byproducts your kidneys must process. One hit doesn't matter much, but thousands of small hits, day after day, begin to weaken the delicate structures inside each nephron. I once heard a patient describe it perfectly. He said, "I feel like my body's always tired of cleaning up after itself." And that's exactly what's happening when oxidative stress stays unchecked. Here's what the science shows. Oxidative stress damages cell membranes, disrupts mitochondrial function, and increases inflammatory signaling inside kidney tissue. Over time, this reduces filtration efficiency and forces the kidneys to work harder just to maintain the same results. Research consistently links higher oxidative stress markers with faster kidney decline, even when inflammation and blood pressure appear controlled. This is where ginger quietly becomes a shield instead of a spice. Ginger doesn't just react after damage occurs. Its active compounds, gingerol and shogal, help neutralize free radicals before they can damage kidney cells. In other words, ginger reduces how much damage happens in the first place. That prevention matters far more than most people realize. But once again, the way ginger is used determines whether it works or not. Most people treat ginger like a flavor. Old dried ginger powder that's been sitting on a shelf for months has lost much of its protective power. Others overuse it, irritating the stomach and triggering stress responses that cancel out its benefits. And some people take it at the wrong time when absorption is poor. Used correctly, ginger becomes a daily layer of defense. Fresh ginger, lightly grated or gently steeped in warm water taken in the morning or early afternoon, helps the body manage oxidative stress throughout the day. Pairing it with warm foods or teas improves absorption and allows its protective effects to actually reach kidney tissue. But even with protection in place, there's still a fragile part of the kidney system that can quietly fail if it's constantly overloaded. And that's where the next piece becomes critical. By this point, many people believe they've solved the problem. Blood flow is better, toxins are lower, inflammation is calmer. Yet months later, their energy still fades and their kidney numbers never truly improve. This is where the real danger hides, not in the blood, but inside the kidney itself at the level almost no one talks about: the nephrons. Each kidney contains about 1 million nephrons, microscopic filters, that do all the real work. And here's the part most people don't realize. Nephrons don't fail all at once. They burn out slowly, one by one, under constant overload. I once spoke with a man whose labs looked acceptable, yet every year he felt weaker. No sharp symptoms, no crisis moment, just a quiet decline. What was happening wasn't sudden kidney failure. It was nephron exhaustion. Science explains why this matters. When nephrons are exposed to constant pressure, excess waste, oxidative byproducts, inflammatory signals, they're forced to work harder to compensate. As some nephrons weaken, the remaining ones take on extra load. That vicious cycle accelerates damage even when creatinine rises only slightly. Research consistently shows that nephron loss can progress silently long before standard lab markers turn alarming. This is where coriander seeds become surprisingly important. Coriander seeds don't act like a stimulant or a cleanser. They work by reducing the workload placed on each nephron. Their bioactive compounds, including linalool and borneol, have been shown to reduce oxidative stress and help lower the concentration of waste products circulating in the blood. Less waste reaching the kidneys means each nephron has less pressure to handle, and that relief is critical over time. But again, the mistake is in the method. Most people sprinkle whole coriander seeds onto food and expect results. Whole seeds pass through the body largely unused. Pre-ground coriander that's been sitting for months has lost potency. Others take large doses occasionally, which stresses digestion instead of supporting it. Used correctly, coriander seeds work gently but consistently. Lightly crushing the seeds or steeping them in warm water releases their active compounds. Drinking coriander seed tea in the morning or early afternoon supports natural detox pathways and reduces nephron workload day after day. Small, regular amounts work far better than large sporadic doses, But even protecting nephrons isn't the final safeguard, because there is one deeper force that can quietly undo all of this progress if it's left unchecked. And that's where we're going next. Even after protecting blood flow, lowering toxins, calming inflammation, and reducing nephron overload, many people are shocked to discover that kidney damage can still quietly progress. This is the most misunderstood part of kidney health, because there is a deeper layer of inflammation, not the kind you feel, but the kind that lives inside cells and slowly erodes tissue over time. I've spoken with people who took turmeric every single day and felt no change at all. They were consistent, they were disciplined, and they assumed turmeric simply didn't work for them. But the problem wasn't turmeric. The problem was absorption. Their bodies were barely receiving what they thought they were taking. Here's what the science makes clear. The power of turmeric comes from one compound, curcumin. Curcumin has been extensively studied for its ability to reduce inflammatory signaling limit, oxidative stress, and protect tissue at the cellular level, including kidney tissue. In chronic kidney stress, unresolved inflammation stiffens blood vessels, disrupts filtration, and accelerates nephron loss. Studies show curcumin can reduce inflammatory markers and oxidative damage, but only when it actually reaches circulation. And that's the catch. Curcumin is notoriously difficult to absorb. Research suggests that without proper preparation, the body may absorb less than 5% of what's consumed. That means many people are swallowing turmeric daily and getting almost nothing in return. No benefit, no protection, just frustration. This is where method matters more than dosage. Using old pre-ground turmeric that's been sitting on a shelf significantly reduces potency. Taking turmeric without fat prevents absorption. Using it inconsistently weakens its cumulative effect. And expecting immediate results misses how curcumin actually works slowly, steadily, protectively. Used correctly, turmeric becomes a stabilizer rather than a quick fix. Fresh turmeric or high-quality powder taken with a small amount of healthy fat allows curcumin to enter circulation. Warm preparations like turmeric tea or soups improve bioavailability. And when used consistently, turmeric doesn't repair kidneys overnight. It slows damage, calms deep inflammation, and helps preserve function over time. But even turmeric can't work alone, because there is one daily habit often overlooked that can amplify everything you've learned so far, or quietly cancel it all out if you get it wrong. By now you may be thinking, I understand the spices. I'll use them correctly. But this is where many people unknowingly undo all their progress, because even the right spices used the right way can quietly fail if one daily habit is working against them. And this habit is so common that most people never question it. I once spoke with someone who followed every recommendation perfectly. Garlic prepared correctly, cumin tea in the morning, cinnamon and ginger used carefully, even turmeric with fat. Yet months later, their energy was inconsistent and their kidney numbers stayed flat. When we looked closer, the problem wasn't what they were taking, it was when and how consistently they were using it. Here's what the science tells us. The body follows predictable rhythms. Blood flow, digestion, detoxification, and cellular repair all fluctuate throughout the day. When supportive compounds are taken at random times in rushed patterns, or only when remembered, their biological impact drops sharply. Studies on nutrient timing and bioavailability show that consistency and timing can influence effectiveness as much as dosage itself. In other words, irregular use turns powerful tools into weak signals. This is the overlooked factor: daily rhythm. Spices that support circulation, detox, and inflammation work best when the body is primed to use them. Morning and early afternoon are when blood flow, liver activity, and metabolic processing are most receptive. Late night use, skipped days, or clustering everything together reduces absorption and stresses digestion, especially in aging bodies. And there's another quiet mistake. Many people treat these spices like emergency fixes instead of foundational habits. They use them intensely for a few days, then stop, or they rotate randomly. The kidneys don't respond to bursts. They respond to steady, predictable support. Small amounts taken consistently create cumulative protection. Large, irregular doses create noise, not healing. Used correctly, this daily habit becomes the multiplier. Same spices, same science. Completely different outcome. When timing is respected and consistency is honored, The body finally has a chance to respond. But here's the final truth most people never hear. Even with the right spices and the right habits, there's one last mindset shift that determines whether kidney health stabilizes or continues to slip quietly. And that's what we need to talk about next. If you've stayed with me to this point, I want you to hear this clearly. You are not weak, you are not failing your body, and you are not too late. Kidney decline doesn't happen because one day you suddenly did everything wrong. It happens quietly, slowly, through small stresses that add up over time. And the same is true for healing. It doesn't come from one dramatic change. It comes from small, consistent choices made with understanding, not fear. What matters most is that you're paying attention now. You're listening. You're learning how your body actually works. And that alone puts you ahead of where many people realize the truth. Your kidneys are remarkably resilient organs when they're supported the right way at the right pace. So take this information gently. Start small. Choose one habit to improve, one spice to use correctly, one daily rhythm to respect. You don't need perfection. You need consistency. And your body will tell you when it begins to respond often before lab numbers ever change. If this video helped you understand your kidneys more clearly, I encourage you to save it so you can return to it later. These are the kinds of details that are easy to forget and powerful when remembered. And if you want to continue learning how to protect your kidneys, manage creatinine, reduce inflammation, and age with strength and independence, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. Every week we share clear, practical, science-based guidance focused on kidney health without fear, without hype, and without confusing medical jargon. Just information you can actually use. And before you go, let me leave you with this. Stability is not the same as safety. Feeling okay doesn't always mean everything is fine. But awareness changes outcomes. And the fact that you're here means you're choosing to care, not react too late. Take care of yourself. Be patient with your body. And remember, small decisions made today can protect your independence for years to come.